I mean, I don't think we're going to run the risk of going over today. Do you?
Who knows, man?
I mean, this is just such a hot button topic, you know? I mean,
Whose idea was this?
your idea.
Oh.
This was literally your idea.
I thought you wanted to do...
This was literally your idea. All yours. So whatever happens is on you.
Oh, man.
Alrighty, welcome back to the 25th anniversary episode of the Why Do I Talk to You podcast.
Why is nobody here, Saul? Nobody's celebrating with us.
Because nobody will ever be, Dave. Nobody will ever be.
Oh, well, we'll celebrate. We had pizza.
We did have pizza.
Stuffed crust
It was a
pizza.
momentous occasion.
Wow.
I'm Saul Starsheep 4.
I'm Dave Gamer Dave Naple. Did we even do that last episode?
Who cares? And welcome to another video game cast, a very broad video game cast at that, but this is all Dave's idea, so I want to just go ahead and just, cater to him. So, Dave.
It was not all my idea. I don't actually remember, but I don't think it was all my idea.
Oh, it totally was.
We thought about this so long.
So long ago.
When you last heard a podcast, okay, so before the Avengers one, it was before you heard that podcast that we had this idea in mind. Is that accurate?
Yes,
yeah.
it was. Yes,
So
it
I
was.
have actually no recollection.
I'm actually quite certain. Well, the podcast before Infinity Wars was Western music.
Yeah.
And I think it was already on the books. And I think Western music was February? No, it wasn't
I can
that
tell
long
you
ago.
exactly how we landed on this, is that Saul really, really wanted to do... We were really into Theatrythm at the time, right?
Yeah.
And you really wanted to do the Uematsu music episode.
Yeah.
But I was not ready yet, so I had to do Western. And then we came up with the idea of, what if we just talk about... Theatrythm itself is not enough to talk about, but rhythm games...
You came up with.
Okay, whatever. The rhythm games maybe are. So here we are.
Here we are. Talking about the most hot button issue in all of gaming.
Oh,
EA?
yeah.
No. The new God of War? No.
But rhythm game.
Rhythm
I
game.
think literally the last rhythm game that came out was 3 years ago.
Which was what?
Was Necrodancer.
That was 3 years ago?
The one on the Switch is a remake. Maybe not 3. Maybe 1 or 2.
Wow, I'm so out of touch.
It's older. It's actually not that new.
Alrighty, so rhythm games. To be honest, I mean, Dave and I are both musicians.
Yeah.
So we like rhythm games. We really do.
It's true.
We might not be the most up to date on all the rhythm games out there. I mean,
No.
we've never played Ozu.
That game is way too hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
From what I
that's not
understand,
gonna
the Ozu community is crazy.
Yeah.
They're crazy and pretty vast.
I told you this. My only real exposure to Ozu is pro gamers who want to do something in between queues. So they do that to keep their APM up, right? And it is
so
pretty insane.
That's just crazy.
Yeah. Because they just have that level of mouse control.
What is that like doing bench presses and then doing feet workout, but
know.
while
Yeah,
doing
just,
feet workout, just doing
some,
curls.
Something, I don't
I
know.
don't
Something
want
like
to
that.
get too cold.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, but
Casual rhythm games.
yeah, I think the rhythm game that perhaps everybody here can relate to, at least having seen in places and whatnot, would be Dance Dance Revolution.
I was gonna say Guitar Hero.
Dance Dance
I feel
Revolution was before, though.
Well, yes, but everybody has played Guitar Hero.
Yeah, but I mean, people were exposed to Dance Dance Revolution well before Guitar Hero, though.
Sure.
Certainly, I was never good at Dance Dance Revolution.
No.
The concept is simple. I mean, if you don't know what Dance Dance Revolution is, all it is just circular. Well, not circular. Directional buttons on the floor of up, down, left, and right. And on your screen, you have those arrows kind of floating up to a trigger area, and you just have to stomp on the right arrow in time.
Yeah. Easy.
And yeah,
easy.
easy in concept. You know what I mean? You've seen the videos or like the people who like actually make a dance out of it? Sheesh.
Yeah.
I, like many other people, have made a fool overdoing it. I mean, it's an easy concept.
The Mario one.
Oh, that's right. There is a Mario one. It's an easy concept to like understand, but then like you don't realize just how hard it's gonna be until you get into it, you know?
Yep.
And of course, most of them are arcade machines, so they're just there to make you feel stupid so that you pay some more, you know, in front of everybody. Yeah. I remember my sister, my oldest sister, got DDR for PlayStation.
With like the mat.
Yeah, I got like a Mad Catz mat, and like for Christmas, like she'd bring it home, and we'd jam on it, like my sisters and I. It was actually a lot of fun, like when we played on like the easy ones. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, sure.
You know, a lot of those songs are actually pretty catchy. You know, like I'm not the biggest into like trance and everything like that, but some of those songs were like really catchy. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
Did you have any experience with DDR?
Yeah, the Mario one. I just told you.
And that's it.
That's basically it. Yeah. I mean, I always saw them, of course, but no, I never like did any of the ones at the arcade or anything like that.
So
the Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. Did you like it, or were you just like,
yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
it was actually fun.
So
I'll admit that I had fun with the Mario DDR.
So not after DDR, but the next exposure I had. This still predates Guitar Hero, actually.
Really?
The next exposure I had was a game called Amplitude. It was made by Harmonix, who would go down to make Guitar Hero in the future.
Okay.
But yeah, this game is called Amplitude, and what it was it took apart a song from like drums and guitar, yada yada, and you were like this like drone spaceship, and you were just driving on these lanes, and you had to hit 3 buttons. Either it was like square, triangle, and circle on the controller in time with like the things coming down. A lot like Guitar Hero. These little like things that you would trigger to get down there. And then if you got a long enough string, the lane would like turn on all on its own. So like you would start with like drums, right? And then you would hit the right things, and then the lane would go on its own. So then you'd move over to the next lane, which was like bass guitar, and then you would do the same there. And then after a while, the drums lane would run out, so then you would have to go back there and yada yada. So
weird.
Well, you know what? The only reason why I knew of it was not because of a demo disc from a PlayStation magazine.
That was a close one.
But a demo disc from a POD CD. It was on POD's 3rd album. It was self-titled, I think. No, it was just called Payable on Death, so technically self-titled. But it was oddly on there, a demo for the PS2 game Amplitude, and it had one of their songs on it.
That's so weird.
It is. It's really random, too. Yeah. But I really enjoyed the game. And there was also a section where you can like create your own song using the samples of it.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, and I spent hours of time on this, and then you got to like play it yourself, you know what I mean, like in time, and there was like nice visuals and yada yada, but that game obviously never took off too well. So then Harmonix got with Red Octane, and they came up together, you know, long story short, came up together with the idea of Guitar Hero.
What an explosion that was.
Sheesh. So Guitar Hero takes some of the ideas that Amplitude have. Whereas
as you described it, you could totally see it.
Absolutely, yeah. Except now we only have one lane. There's 5 buttons, 5 things to choose from, and you get a small little miniaturized like guitar controller in your hands to do it.
This is neat.
It was really neat. My first experience playing Guitar Hero was the first one, and it was at a friend's party. I don't know if I knew what it was. Like, I think I'd heard about it, maybe saw commercials for it, but I'd never like played it, right?
Sure.
And so they were like, "Oh yeah, just like go through the tutorial so you understand." I'm like, "Okay." And there was all like, you know, do this and this, and now you've done a hammer-on. I was like, "That's an actual guitar thing." And they're like, "Now do this and this and this. Now you've done a pull-off." I'm like, that's an actual guitar thing. And, you know, some of the things like, again, easy in concept, like DDR, right? And then like when you're going on like a hard song, even a song that you like knew, then you had that dreaded 5th button that you had to go with. Button. And you're just like, and then you're messing up the song and the audience is booing you.
It's like, ding, ding, and your friends are judging you.
And I remember after that, I was hooked. And so I asked my dad if I could get it for Christmas that year. And so he got me the Guitar Hero 2-pack because I guess I was late to the Pratty. And that winter break, which was, I think, my senior year of high school, that winter break, 2 weeks, nothing but Guitar Hero. So I got to an expert pretty fast. One of the coolest thing about this was when the time Guitar Hero 2 was out, there weren't a whole lot of like well-known experts, you know what I mean? Like nowadays you go to YouTube and you find, you know, full combos of like everybody, right?
Oh,
of like every song. Yeah. So like a couple of months later, I went to a video game party and they had Guitar Hero, and I was the man, dude. I was like full on popular and like amazing people. And then I'd like go to Best Buy, like just because like my dad would take me there, or whatever.
To show off.
Well, I wouldn't do that specifically to show off, but I'd be like, oh, Guitar Hero's so good. And then I'd cue up a song that I knew really well, and then I'd draw a crowd of people watching me, and they're like, how do you do that? I'm like, yeah, you know, this is no big deal. So that was sort of my...
Do you have groupies? Do you have the ladies all over you?
Oh, if only.
Don't listen to this, Bethany.
I mean, I think it impressed her to some degree.
You keep thinking that.
Okay. What was your like experience with Guitar Hero?
It was totally a college dorm thing. It was totally like everybody on the hall had a copy of Guitar Hero, and I got like okay at it.
Just okay?
I would usually just play the bass parts. I was okay with that. I was totally fine with letting everybody else rock out while I just participated.
Did you enjoy it though?
Oh yeah, I had lots of fun. We had Guitar Hero 3 at some point, and that was fun. I got okay at that too. I think I played through the whole game on like hard.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. I don't remember.
Easy, medium, hard, expert.
Yeah, I think I got to hard.
Okay.
I think so. I was all right.
And I mean, you know, speaking of, you know, being like the guitar hero, quote unquote, I went to my college dorm being the same way because somebody brought Guitar Hero, and I think it was me. Somebody did. And I, again, just like wowed my entire hall because I was the best at all of them.
Yeah.
And then Guitar Hero 3 came out, and then Through the Fire and Flames came out. Oh, it made all of us look silly.
What a cultural revolution that
right?
Was.
How
it's
interesting.
In like the video game culture. Like, everybody knows Through the Fire and Flames now. Nobody knew who Dragon Force was. Let's be real. Nobody had any idea who Dragon Force was until somebody at Activision or whoever made that game was like, hey, this band's pretty crazy. Let's put one of these songs in there. That'll be a kick. And now they're a thing.
Well, to be fair, that album came out in 2005, 6. The album came out in 2006.
When did this game come out?
2008, I think.
That's not that long.
No, but I will say, and it's probably just unique to me, I knew who they were. Well, I had their album. I had their album already.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was already a huge fan.
Wow, okay.
So when I heard that this song was on it, I was like, oh no, this cannot be good. And so when I got it, playing Through the Fire and Flames for the first time and losing within the first second of it, you know, I'm just like, oh no, what is it? And then it dies, and I'm just like, what was that? My throne was
floating away.
Was it? Yeah. And then Rock Band came out.
Yeah.
I had a couple of friends that had Rock Band, and they're like, "Hey,
Rock Band introduced the drums, right?"
Yes.
Okay.
And I had a lot of friends like, you know, hey, you're a drummer, you should try this. And I'm like, sure, yeah, I love these games. And the drums, I'd never liked playing the drums.
Yeah. I never did either. It was really hard.
None of the iterations of Rock Band or Guitar Hero that had like the fake drums to play, I never did.
I don't think Jeremy ever liked it either.
Now, the appeal of Guitar Hero, you know, I always theorized that Guitar Hero and Rock Band had more appeal over DDR because of the music.
Yes, and because you didn't have to make a fool out of yourself physically in order to do it.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, that guitar peripheral was just as expensive and as annoying to store as the stupid pads.
Oh, sure.
But at least you didn't have to make a fool out of yourself while you're doing it.
And you weren't like a sweaty, like gross.
You didn't have to actually exercise. I mean, but you have to talk about Just Dance here too, right? Because that was a thing.
Oh,
Just
well,
Dance
I think
was
this.
like,
Well, this happened after Guitar Hero. I
yeah,
think,
but if you're
also.
talking about dancing,
well,
it's interesting.
do you know much about it? I don't really. It's a Kinect
I
game,
know my
right?
wife liked it at parties. That was like the thing that like my wife and all her girlfriends wanted to play at parties,
Oh,
right?
jeez.
It was always Just Dance. You know what I mean?
That
Like,
is a
whenever I
Kinect
would go
game, right? Like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So I think they had versions for like Wii and PS, whatever the PlayStation Move. I guess that's what it was called. I forgot about it completely. But obviously they could only get your hands, so they were not as good. But
So let me ask a question then regarding this.
okay.
So, are rhythm games for everybody? Like, sure, anybody can pick them up, but like, is everybody like capable of playing a rhythm game properly?
I don't think everybody is, but I think it is very accessible, right? Like when I think of, because other rhythm games, during the DS's lifetime when they had like the sort of the touch revolution games, they were really trying to cater to sort of the casuals, and they had a lot of touchscreen games. That's where sort of like the Rhythm Heaven game came from, and I think another series that I'm forgetting. But there were these series that Nintendo put out there as sort of touch games that were intended to be more casual, right? So I think from that
Well, I guess like
perspective-
it's pretty easy to understand, right? I mean, everybody
Yeah.
has a heartbeat.
yeah,
right?
most people, as much as, we as musicians like to make fun of the non-musicians, like I've got rhythm, music. Like everybody, like at sort of a primal level, they tend to get like rhythm, especially when there's a visual element to it as well. You
Yeah.
can say like, oh, this is when I hit it, and then you just sort of get into a rhythm because it's always, this much spaced out or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's more accessible. It's weird to say are they for everybody because they've definitely fallen off a cliff, so to speak. Like they're very niche now.
It's sort of like rhythm games today are sort of masked in other like gaming genres
As far as
a
the
little bit.
gamer games, right? Like the casual market has sort of dried up for them for whatever reason. I guess the fad is just gone probably more than anything else.
Yeah.
But for gamers, they've like hung on. But yeah, they're sort of as part of other things. Mostly, there are some exceptions. But I mean, as we'll get to this eventually, and we'll have to discuss like how much we think rhythm games can survive outside of this. But to me, the biggest thing of rhythm games is always going to be what's the soundtrack? What are the tracks? Like, why did you buy Beatles Rock Band?
Because it's the Beatles.
Because it's the Beatles. Yeah. Why did we buy Theater Rhythm?
Because it's Noble.
It's Final Fantasy music. Yeah. So the cool thing about Rock Band was it was like this compilation of like all these sweet tracks, right? So even if you didn't want to play it, if someone else in your household did, at least you got to listen to this music.
Yeah.
Unless they were terrible, and then you just heard a bunch of clunks and whatever. But then you could make fun of them. So,
Yeah.
and like just like DDR had a bunch of weird like J-pop songs, and like who the heck knows what's on there.
Yeah.
But Let Just Dance had a bunch of like actual pop songs that people were familiar with. So you just got to connect, and you invited your girlfriends over and you play video games, and you tell the guys, oh, we're going to play video games. And they get there like, oh.
Burn!
I speak
boy.
from experience.
Oh, I really hope Sam is listening to this one. I really hope.
She knows.
Because I will say, Bethany and I have spent, my goodness, one of our favorite memories in South Carolina. Well, I got Rock Band 3 on a whim, and I happen to have still the Wii controllers for Beatles Rock Band, and it obviously carries over. So we played the ever-loving crap out of Rock Band 3, and there were some wonderful tracks on Rock Band 3, like Power of Love from Back to the Future, Misery Business from Paramore, Hysteria by Muse. And she, kind of like you, she always played like the bass tracks.
Yeah.
But it was always just fun. It was a lot of fun playing together. Even when we just knew these songs very well, it was just fun,
And you could sing without I think the microphone singing bit was kind of whatever too.
Oh,
in terms of adding that.
I never tried that.
That was, it was more popular than the drums.
You got me
for
there.
sure.
You got me there.
But man, I can't believe they sold us that many peripherals.
I know, man.
What madness.
Sheesh. And we were so willing.
Yeah.
I want it.
I mean, it was a party. Like, those games made a party. And it was tough to find video games that could do that. Because if nothing else, if someone's like, oh, I don't know, you could stick them on the bass part on easy. And you know what? They'd be fine. Or you could put them on sing and easy. And as long as they were making some noise in those parts, it's fine. There were options.
That's the power of love.
It made it very accessible.
Yeah.
To like anybody. And if you wanted to be good and impress people, you absolutely could. But if you just showed up, it wasn't like trying to teach someone to play Mario Kart from scratch. And that's like one of the easiest party games. Is still like, how do I go? It's like, oh, okay, you hold the A button. I'm not going. Okay, you're also holding. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Yeah, you have to steer like an actual vehicle. How about that? Oh, this is fun. All right, you know what? You're making it not
This
fun.
isn't fun anymore. I'm not having fun.
Yeah, they're totally the Ego Raptor character from Mega Man X. Where do I go? What do I do?
What was the green thing? I want the green thing. How do I get the green thing?
There's some buttons here, I guess.
Wait, what's the button? What buttons?
Yeah.
There's too many buttons.
Son of a gun.
Look at us making fun of the casuals. We're not that hardcore.
No, well, I don't
we?
know.
Are we?
Some people, I'm sure a lot of casual people would define us as such. The
Really?
thing is, it's a lot like the fighting game community, right? People are like, wow, you're so good at fighting games. You're like, no, I have no idea. Like, we are in it enough to know that we're terrible. Whereas other people are like, wow, you're so good. What a nerd. It's like, look, trust me, you have no idea.
Listen, I appreciate it. Let's go over here for a second.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, and Guitar Hero was out, like, when the Wii was still hot, too. And when the Wii was hot, family gaming was at a ever-loving high.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think, Guitar Hero maybe accidentally stumbled upon that also.
Did the first two even come out on the Wii? I know Rock Band was always on the Wii. I'm pretty sure, but I don't think Guitar Hero was until 3.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even think 3 had it.
No, 3 100% was on Wii.
Oh, okay.
Because we had it for Wii.
Oh, okay.
So I know that for a fact.
Yeah, I know Rock Band came out on the Wii first, or at least was like one of the first like releases on the Wii. But yeah, Guitar Hero was, I think, almost exclusively a PS2 thing. And then they expanded later.
That's what I remember. It could be on Xbox or something. But I don't remember.
So rhythm games then sort of expanded into the casual, family friendly gaming market. Although it wasn't always family friendly necessarily, but it was for party game. Party game, and a much more accessible one, like you were saying, like than Mario Kart or even Mario Party.
Yeah,
not that hard. Hit the colored button in time.
Yeah. And then the big revolution came with Wii Music. Just kidding. No.
So then, so nowadays though, like Dave said, I mean, like I think, I think the rhythm game for the sake of the rhythm game. Although I think Just Dance is still out, is it?
I think it's still out there. And there's like exercise games, like Zumba and stuff like that occupy their little niche that are probably technically still in like the rhythm game category, if you want to define them as games. But yeah, I mean, going back a little bit, I feel like we should shout out real quick, like basically the originator of it on whole home consoles in Parappa the Rapper, right? Like I've never played this game. I don't think you have either. Have you?
No, I haven't. I think I played a demo of this.
In terms of all these rhythm games we've been talking about are sort of, they're not really, except for, what was the one you mentioned?
Bust a Groove.
No, not Bust, the one from the demo disc.
Amplitude,
thank you. Like that one was just a button pusher, right? You just push the buttons on the controller. All these other ones are like you have to have a pad. You have to have this guitar controller. You have to have all this stuff or a Kinect or whatever. But in terms of just pushing buttons in rhythm, it was pretty much Parappa the Rapper, right? Like that was sort of the originator of this genre in an actual gaming sphere.
I'm hesitant to say that only because I don't know of any other ones.
It's definitely the one that people credit it with, right? Like it's the one people kind of know about.
Yeah.
It was in PlayStation All-Stars, everyone's favorite.
I mean, that doesn't mean it was the first one. I can't think of any other ones.
It was known.
Yeah, yeah. I had a game also on a demo disc called Bust a Groove 2, and it functioned exactly like Parappa the Rapper.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But this one was like you had an avatar who was like a dancer, and you had a dance off with another person, and your correct sequences like made your points higher than the other person depending on how correct they were and stuff. I just remember the song. I'll show you the song later, but it was a cool song. I don't know if I could have considered it a video game song.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't include it in the list. But it was cool. I should probably show you some of it too. I tried to emulate it, but the delay is killing me.
Yeah.
You just can't play rhythm games on an emulator unless you have like
true.
some sort of like delay like in place or whatever. So anyways, because nowadays the most recent rhythm games that I've played that have like come out in the recent years have been sort of rhythm games and something else.
Yeah.
I want to give a quick shout out to this one app called Give It Up. I think it's all platforms for apps, but it's a rhythm game where you're this little like blob and you're going through a bunch of platforms, right? Little circular platforms.
Okay.
And some of them will like move up like almost at the last minute. So you have to be like really quick to be able to jump up or jump down or avoid spikes and yada yada. It's a very frustrating game, but it is absolutely a rhythm game. And I think Bethany would kill me if I didn't mention it because there was a point in time where we were obsessed with that game.
It's funny. I wonder how many of those type of games are on the App Store because I could totally see them thriving there.
I looked up rhythm games, like best rhythm games for iPhone, for instance. There were quite a lot.
Yeah.
I will say though, I didn't like any of them though.
Well,
So yeah, there's that. I think Bethany stumbled upon the app I was just talking about. And it's still on my phone, actually. I'll show it to you later.
all right.
But then there's a game. We'll just talk about it right away. There's Theatrythm.
Yeah.
So when
It's Final Fantasy Theatrythm.
yes,
technically.
when the first Theatrythm was announced, trailers showed basically, in essence, it was a rhythm game based off of Final Fantasy music. I mean,
Trailer
right there.
was, hey, do you like Final Fantasy music? Get this game.
Yeah,
And that was about it. It was like, do you want all the Final Fantasy music? Here you go.
yeah, like sold, right?
Yeah.
No matter what, sold, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So Dave and I got it, and shocker, it's a good game.
Yeah, it is a good game.
So you have certain commands that you can do, and this one was all touchscreen based.
Yes, first one was.
So you have battle screens, and then you have field music scenes.
And then there were the FMV ones.
Yeah, those were
Those were very rare.
So basically, anytime you see like a red dot, that's just a poke on the
Just
pad.
tap the screen.
Anytime you see a green, that's like an extended one where you have to poke and hold onto it. And sometimes it would like move directions too, and you would have to make sure your cursor moves along with the green line.
That was specifically in the field ones. I don't think they did that with the battle or the FMV ones.
They do in the second one.
In the field? In the
battle screen, yeah.
No, they don't. You don't have to move during the battle screen when you hold it.
Not move, but they have the green ones in there. That's what I was just saying.
Yeah, the green. I'm just saying in terms of moving.
No,
your
you're right.
stylus.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
Okay.
And then there's just yellow ones that are just regular directions that you have to swipe in that correct direction.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes there was a green one with like an arrow at the end, so that as you release, you had to swipe. But that was about as complex as it got.
So on the battle screen, it was organized like the first few Final Fantasies, where all the players were in a vertical line on one side of the screen,
On the right
side
you
of
had
the
4
screen.
characters.
And they each had their own little trigger, but it didn't matter. You were controlling all of them at once. And to the music would come in the combinations of the 3 different
Commands.
commands. There you go.
Yeah.
Depending on the song. And there were 3 difficulties, right?
Yes.
Basic, expert, and ultimate.
I don't remember the names of them actually.
Okay, something like that.
yeah.
Easy, medium, and hard, essentially. What was so interesting about those difficulties, and this happened on Rock Band too, and Guitar Hero, is like if you know the song really well, sometimes easy mode hurts.
It's actually kind of hard to do the other ones.
It's hard to explain. It's like you feel like I should be hitting right here.
Yes.
But there's nothing here, but I can't help myself. I gotta do it,
Yeah, I can't play that game on anything but the hardest difficulty now.
Oh geez, I still can't handle really the hardest difficulty all the time.
It's really challenging. It's actually a really nice difficulty.
I can't do the easiest, but I have to stay on like the middle one. Okay, so that's the battle ones, and then the field ones. Your objective is just to get as far as possible, and the most accurate hits you do will like make
your character run faster.
Yeah. And like I said, the green ones will also change like vertical direction, which you have to like move in correspondence to that in time and whatnot. And sometimes they would end with a directional swipe as well that you'd have to do. So then that was the first one, even on its own. And there was some DLC as well to like buy some extra songs not included directly on the cart. And I think I immediately bought all the songs on 8, all the songs on 10, and all the songs on 1.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I believe I did.
Wow.
And then like what, how long after?
Not that long, like a year?
They released a sequel called Final Fantasy Theatrythm Curtain Call.
Oh my gosh.
Why is this one better, Dave?
Because it has everything. It has so many songs, first of all. It just has so many more songs than the original. I think the original only had like 4 per game or something like that. 4 songs per game. This one has like 8. Like, it's a lot more songs. And you can actually use the buttons.
Oh, man. I only use the buttons.
I still actually use the stylus I like it in field ones sometimes. Most of the time, but I can do buttons too. But yeah,
I only like the buttons now, like because the first Theatrythm you can't use the buttons; you can only use the stylus.
Correct.
And I think you told me like, "Hey, you can use the buttons now." I'm like, "Oh, really? Oh, let me try it." And like, I can't stop.
Yeah.
I have to use the buttons.
The thing about it is, it definitely made your hand cramp having to hold it with one hand and then use the stylus for the other for long periods.
Maybe
of time.
that's why I
At
begged
least
to
for
use
me.
maybe that's why I begged for the use of the buttons.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one also added like some quote unquote quests, you know, with like bosses and more collectibles to get new characters and stuff. Which, by the way, the art design on this makes them sort of like it's a small world characters. They're not chibi-fied. Yeah, they kind of look like dolls a little bit. They're cute.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's represented.
I mean, a lot of characters. I don't know about everybody, but it feels like it. There's a lot of characters.
And you know, you gain, you know, I guess their currency or like their point system is called Rhythmia. And the more you play, the more you get, obviously.
You get little bonuses like being able to just listen to the songs in the sound test or unlocking new characters or new sound effects for your taps or whatever. Lots of stuff that I never really used. But, you know, getting the new characters was enough of a carrot to get me to keep playing. And, I mean, just hearing the songs again while doing something was enough to keep me playing, you know?
Sure.
That was...
The RPG element is interesting, and it's funny is that it's not always necessary either. You can totally go through the game without even ever trying it. But like you gain an EXP with the 4 party members that you can choose.
Yeah,
and they also have abilities like as your level goes up and like points to like AP basically, right?
Yeah,
basically. And you know, some of them are like buffs or some of them are like offensive. You know, the buffs are usually, not all the time, for the field music ones. And the offensive attacks are only for the battle music scenes.
Yeah, there's certain ones that like they'll do like a mega attack as soon as the boss character shows up. Those are like always the best ones. And certain characters don't have those and they're automatically terrible, basically.
Summons are also in the...
there's summon sections, which you can earn by not screwing up the portion right before the summon.
Otherwise you get a lowly little chocobo.
Yeah.
What summons are? I know Ifrit is in there. I know Shiva, Bahamut, Rama.
Knights of the Round are in there.
Oh.
Pretty sure like only Cloud can summon them. I think there might be a couple others, but those are basically it. Like the core.
Yeah,
4 or
I've
5.
only ever seen those Shiva, Ifrit, Bahamut, and Rama.
They're just set by what character happens to be in the lead slot, and
Right.
like each one has a different one.
So I've played it enough where I've maxed out at least 3 parties. Yeah.
I've maxed out more than that.
I
I
imagine, well, there was a while where I never changed the party. I just stayed with that,
too.
you know, and I never even like equipped anything, you know, because I didn't really
you don't
need
need
to.
to.
Exactly.
I mean, it helps if you're going through the quest things to actually beat the bosses and get the rewards. Like just equipping those ones that are the big attacks on the bosses.
Yeah. Eventually the quests will turn into all ultimates, and my goodness.
And they'll get nastier too because there is a multiplayer mode in this game, which Saul won't play with me. But
these are nasty.
You can sick like certain
these are mean,
debilitating things on those, like the arrows that are normally just pointing one direction, they'll like be spinning and
Those
you
are
have to
so
swipe the
mean.
direction that it is right when it gets to you. Those are rough.
Those are so mean.
Those are like the worst ones I can think of. But there's definitely, I think those are the ones that they start giving, like throwing at you in the quest, and you're just like, why?
Yeah. Not to mention, like, Dave, I think, has logged in more hours on this game than I have, so he's just better at it than I am.
Well, what can I say?
So
If people were impressed with this game like Guitar Hero, I'm sure that they would be really impressed by me, you know?
you go ahead and do that.
Okay.
So Theatrythm, Curtain Call specifically, has been a majorly fond
Like, you can
gaming
just
experience.
keep coming back to it as the thing.
Oh, and I do sometimes,
Oh, yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just be like, oh, maybe I'll play some Theatrythm. And then, like, it'll end up staying in my 3DS for, like, a week at least,
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
like exactly how it goes.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's Final Fantasy music. It never goes out of fashion.
Yeah.
It dates in a way, but it never, like, I never lose it, you know?
Sure, yeah.
I also love playing the quests where it's a song I just straight up don't know. And then it's a song that I'll like actually end up really like wanting to listen to later, you know?
Really? Like, I don't know that I've ever had that experience. Like, what songs have like actually stuck with you?
There are some songs, I can't tell you the names of them, but there are some songs from Final Fantasy 13 that have
Really?
stuck out. Yeah.
I mean, I like the battle theme in that game, all right, but the other ones never got me on that much. I
Yeah,
don't know.
there's like a song where there's like actual vocals on the Final Fantasy 13 one, I believe.
Huh.
I got into the Mystic Quest soundtrack thanks to Theatrythm also. Oh, that's a Final Fantasy inside joke for those of you.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, Dave and I still like have not gotten over playing Theatrythm in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't
first
say I
one
play it
maybe,
regularly
but,
now. Oh,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, because there's no reason to play the first one and the
Right,
second. Like, There's
right.
actually no reason to go back to it. I don't think there's a single song. Maybe like some of the FMV songs.
Yeah.
Like maybe you have because there are very few FMV songs in theater or Curtain Call. Whereas in the first one, again, I think every single game got one, but I think it only had like 1 through 10. In terms of the games, this one has like up to 13 plus spin-offs. Like it has everything. Oh, I was so happy they had the Crystal Chronicles songs on there, even if it was just a few. I was so happy because that soundtrack is really unique and interesting.
I think there's a couple of songs in there that also like I've encountered on the quest and just be like, I really like that.
Oh, and the DLC in Curtain Call is so good because they have it from like actually other games. They have it from like Chrono Trigger.
Oh, yeah.
or like a Secret of Mana. And the backgrounds and the field songs are like actually different. That blew me away when the DLC actually had different artwork in the background.
Oh, yeah.
That was so cool.
Yeah, so the field songs, the thing that you look at is not only the commands, but your leader character walking the trail. But in the background is stuff that is incredibly true to the game that you're playing the
Like
songs
super
from.
nostalgic.
Yeah.
And like especially to like individual songs, sometimes they'll have like that specific location, or sometimes it's just like you're on the overworld and you'll see like all the key locations in the background. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
But at the end of the day, it's a rhythm game.
Yeah, it's absolutely a rhythm game.
And
a pure rhythm game. They're really like there's RPG elements, but like let's be real, it's just a rhythm game.
It's just a rhythm game,
Yeah.
but my goodness, I love it.
But we love it for the music, right?
Yeah.
And so I think we can parlay this into talking about sort of the next rhythm game that you got into.
Harmonite.
For the 3DS, yeah.
So I was just trolling around the Nintendo eStore for a while, and then I saw this game called Harmonite. It was by the Pokemon Company.
Yeah.
And I was like, well,
I like Pokemon.
it was only like $10, and I think I watched the preview
You must
video
have
of
got
it.
it on sale. I think I had to pay $15.
I must have then or something,
Yeah.
or maybe I did pay the full 15.
Eh.
I saw like the preview video of it, and it was a platformer, but it was also like a rhythm game, and I was like, okay, all right, I'm interested, so I get it. And that's essentially what it is. You're a guy with like a big music note as like a bat, and you're going around a town or like an area, and there are these music notes that you have to collect, either just by like walking into them, or defeating enemies to get it in time with the music, of course,
Or hitting stuff.
or hitting stuff in time with the music as well. That's in essence what it is.
Yeah.
There's some boss fights as well that kind of get into more cinematic things and are a little more unforgiving as far as the getting the intricate rhythms go.
There's a couple hits where like if you don't hit it, you just automatically lose. Like normally you have a health bar and like you can take a few hits, but there's a few in the boss fights where if you miss it, like you just die.
And then there's a couple of other characters you can get that like do their objectives a little bit differently. But the reason why I think Dave is bringing this up, and I'm inclined to agree with him, is the music. Now, the music is not from another source material, not until you get to some bonus levels. It's all like just created by somebody there. But can I sing back any of those songs to you?
Absolutely not.
No.
I think you spent more time than I did.
I
too.
did, but I can't sing any of them to you, really.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean that the songs are trash. It's just that
You don't have a desire to go back because that's so much of the game.
The like Dave was saying, that an added bonus of going through rhythm games is the music. Is the music catchy? Is it something you recognize? Is it something that you already know and have fallen in love with?
And then you get to like participate in, right? Like video games are so cool because they let you participate in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so getting to participate in this music you love is super awesome. Like that's what made Guitar Hero awesome, or Just Dance, or Theatrythm, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so when it's just music, like it's like,
Not to mention, it's like mostly like note for note repeated in each stage, like in each of the like the worlds you're in. The levels get a little bit harder and like a little bit more things to do in there, but it's still the same music.
And it's not to say I didn't enjoy my time with it.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was nice enough. I mean, what else can you really say about it? Like,
That's kind of what it is. I will say
it's the platforming element is very bare bones. Like it's just like there are sometimes you have to hit the jump button in time instead of the hit button, and then you like jump up, and there is platforming to it, but it's pretty much just a rhythm game.
Yeah.
Like you have to like platform to like find secret areas, but it just involves pushing the button in rhythm at the right time. Still, you just have to kind of pay attention to your environment a little, I guess.
Yeah.
To find like the birds.
To call it a platformer is not really
it's very generous.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Dave didn't. I did 100% complete it. Dave.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Dave almost did, but he.
Here's my real. Do you get very many like extra bonus songs from Pokemon for completing it?
No.
Oh, that's so sad.
There's only like 3 of them.
It's only like 5. Yeah.
Or like 5, whatever. Yeah.
And they were good. They were fun, but they were too short still too. So
yeah, that's very true. That was like one of the bigger draws I told Dave about. Was I like, but there's Pokemon songs you can play, you know, and there were. I didn't lie.
Yeah.
I got to the very last level is obviously the hardest one. You're like in a volcano.
Oh yeah, that one. I didn't think that one was that hard.
No.
I don't know why you had so much trouble.
No. This one is much more.
Oh, the secret last level?
Yes.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
It's long at that. It's a very long one.
Yeah.
And some of the ones are very cheap. You experienced some of them in the ones that you played, but these are a little bit faster and a little bit more in frequency.
Okay.
I died so much on that level. It was at least like maybe like in total, if I were to add it all up, maybe 4 or 5 hours of playing.
Wow.
I'm not kidding.
Wow.
I am not kidding.
I mean, the song wasn't that long, obviously, right?
No, it just looped.
Some of them
it just basically looped, if I remember
some of them
right.
felt very long, like longer than they needed to be, and that was part of the challenge of it. Was just trying to keep focus that long, you know, which is fine, but not necessarily the most fun.
No. I mean, like, I'm happy with the price I paid for it. Whether it was 10 or 15.
It seems a little bit light for $15 to me, but maybe I've just been spoiled by games like Undertale and Stardew Valley, where you pay $5 more and I could spend hours upon hours or have like a really deep experience with them, you know? Some of these, like, or even Shovel Knight. How much is Shovel Knight? Is that $35? I mean, now you basically get like 4 games with it. I don't remember how much it was when I bought it, but I bought it and then I got the rest of the DLC for free. So that was quite a deal. But you know, the indie game scene is very competitive, and just because you have the Pokemon company name on you, and you know the graphics were nice, they look nice, they're very stylized and colorful and fun, but
yeah, I'm with you there. Like, I didn't want to try to swayed your opinion of it like right away.
Yeah,
I just kind of wanted you to play it. Yeah, and I think you would have found something fun to do also, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So that brings us, I think, to the last game we'd like to highlight. That's very fresh in our memories, actually, currently.
I played it for the first time like an hour ago.
Yeah, I like played it for real like an hour ago. Crypt of the Necrodancer. Dave is the one who introduced this game to me. I had no idea what it was. Where'd you hear about it?
It's just one of those indies games that had sort of been out there. I don't know, you just hear its name dropped around in Reddit or whatever when people talk about like, oh, indie games, yeah, this one game was good, and it was very unique in what it was doing, and I knew that it had just got a re-release for Switch, so that was kind of how it got back into my consciousness. And now that we have Switches, you could actually play it, because I don't think you can play it on Mac.
I bet not. So, kind of talking about how these rhythm games were like mashed up with other genres, like Harmonite, rhythm game platformer,
Kind of.
Crypt of the Necrodancer is a dungeon crawler and a rhythm game at the same time.
Specifically, it's a roguelike. Are you familiar with that term? Not really. Okay. So I've never really played these games, but the idea is, and it would make sense why you were sort of unfamiliar with how hard it was and how much you die early on in the progression, but it's basically, you're supposed to die early on. Like a lot. Like the game is intentionally tuned to be too difficult for you at the start. But with each run, you get certain items that you can sort of use to buy upgrades that persist. So this is Rogue Legacy was a game that was kind of a big deal for a while, but that's sort of the definition of roguelike. You just sort of go as far as you can, and there's not necessarily an end where you're supposed to beat. But every time you can usually buy some upgrades to make your character stronger, and like you go back, like Enter the Gungeon is another recent sort of roguelike type game. And they're all structured a little bit differently, but that's generally the gist. They're like dungeon crawlery, but you're not really supposed to hit the end, right? So Crypt of the Necrodancer is built around that idea, but with a rhythm game flair that's pretty interesting.
So the way that this game works is unlike any of the other rhythm games we talked about so far. I kind of forgot the story, but like you fall into like the underground dungeon and like your heart is taken out, I think, by the Necrodancer. But like the rhythm is like still in you. So basically you're only allowed to move like one section at a time as long as
it's on like a tile system.
Yeah. As long as you are in time with the music that is playing.
Yeah.
And the more consistently you do that, like, the higher your multipliers can be also.
Yeah.
You also have to do this while defeating enemies who have their own patterns of attack, and you have to like formulate your movements based on that, because you have to keep moving in order to maintain your multipliers. Also, if you miss a beat just because you don't hit it, you lose it.
Stand still.
So this game encourages you just to keep moving, whether you're going back and forth from tiles or something like that, just to get the timing right to beat the enemies, or just like trying to just move to your next area. You're pretty much required to move with every single beat. This kind of creates a it's like really frantic, because like you're trying to defeat these enemies. You're trying to like recognize their pattern from the get-go, and like the same monsters have the same patterns, but like you don't always see them right away.
Sometimes you're in a room with like 4 different monsters, and so you're trying to figure out all their patterns at the same time while still moving in the beat, and like while trying to figure out where you want to move next. It's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff.
It's really interesting how it balances, because you look at it and you watch people playing, you're like, this game looks really easy, because it's not like the music is fast.
No.
It's just like dum 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 dum. Like that's about as fast as it'll get. But you there's so much stuff to be thinking about, and you've got like items and your health, and it's tough.
Yeah.
And once you sort of get into that rhythm of moving, you don't want to stop, because it feels good. Like the music, it's better than Harmonite, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to bash Harmonite.
No, but I agree.
It's better than Harmonite, but it's still not music that I would necessarily come back to for it, right? Like, it's a good thing that there's so much more to the game than the music and the rhythm portion of it, right? Or else I probably wouldn't want to come back. And it's co-op, which is really cool.
Yeah, so Dave and I got to eat some pizza. Well, I think by the time this episode comes out, I will have already had a birthday.
You will have.
Yay. So Dave got some pizza, and we were just playing some Crypt of the Necrodancer and dying a lot. Good old fun times with friends playing games where it's like you're dying a lot, and there's like a lot of like rage, but like friendly rage, just
it's
like
one of those games where I get mad at myself because I'm like, that was so dumb. Like I should have known that was gonna happen. It's your fault, right?
Yeah.
Things happen, and it's totally your fault. And maybe you don't get it all at first, but that's fine. It's a roguelike. You're supposed to. There were a few times where like bombs would show up. We're like, where's this coming from? And then we're just dead. Or when that dragon just shot a laser.
Oh my goodness, yeah, and just like insta death. Yeah. Oh, and then there's the insta-death platforms, right?
You stepped on those like 3 times before you recognized, like,
I did.
These kill me. You're just like, what happened?
Or it's like you said, like the same enemy that like we know the pattern to, but we just made a stupid mistake to, and then we just die. We just okay. Yeah, it's good fun. And you know what? It's still absolutely a rhythm game.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's mashed up with something else for sure, but it's a rhythm game.
Yeah.
Rhythm is at the pun intended heart of the game, you know?
Yeah.
So that is probably the most recent rhythm game that I've had exposure to.
I will toss out this. I've been playing Mother 3 recently. Don't tell Nintendo. But I've been playing Mother 3 recently, the English translation. And that game actually has a very interesting rhythm game incorporated into it. So it's kind of like timed hits from Super Mario RPG, right? But like there's it's not just a static battle theme, right? Like different enemies will have different themes playing behind them, and there's like a set number of them, but different enemies will have different ones playing behind them. And so you have to like find the beat in that, and then when you hit your attack button, you can kind of go that and you'll actually like keep hitting them, and each successive hit they'll generally do less damage than the first one. Like the first one will be like 30, and then the next few will be like 8, 7, 8, and then it'll sort of go down to 1, but every once in a while it'll go back up to 8, and you can do that up to 16 times per attack. So like it actually, and it's tough, like the timing's fairly tight, so you actually have to be like paying attention to it, and it can really increase your potency in battle. And so it's kind of like you mentioned with emulators. At first I was playing on an emulator, and it was just like impossible. Like it was so frustrating because that's totally a part of the game I would enjoy, right?
Yeah.
Like timed hits and RPGs, like obviously sign me up, but mix it with the rhythm part, and like the music in that game is like actually really good. It's like, this is so cool. Like what a really innovative thing for this game, but I just couldn't handle it. So I wound up getting it for a GBA, and now I carry my DS. So yeah.
I wonder then, like, so would you consider like the bro moves in a Mario and Luigi game rhythm based?
Most of them, I mean, kind of. The big difference is they're not related to the music, right? I mean, a lot of them just tap as fast as you can, which definitely isn't. But some of them are definitely, you just sort of get into a rhythm. Like I think of Superstar Saga, the one where like Luigi is a ball and like you keep hitting him at them like multiple times. Did you ever do that one?
Yeah.
That one you can definitely get into a rhythm of, right?
Yeah.
Or even in Super Mario RPG, like the super jump. If you want,
I was never good at that.
I was able to get past 30 not too long ago, and I felt really good about myself.
I was
but like
never good at
you watch
that.
the speedrunners, and they have to be able to do like 100 like on command almost, and it's even they're like, yeah, it's really hard because it's like a 3-frame window or something. But
is that just like the only way they can beat bosses quicker?
yeah, I mean, there's some bosses where like, because you're not leveling, you're not really at the appropriate level, so that's like the best way you can. And when you get 100 jumps before you get to Monster Town, they give you a special item that just like God mode, basically. Like it adds 30 to every single one of your stats. And like you're immune to everything. So that's pretty important. But it's hard.
I guess
I mean, it's always, with the exception of a few bosses who, like, since they move on the screen, the frames in between the jumps will actually change, which is really screwy and makes it almost impossible for them to do. I think it's like always like a 12-frame window between them, right? So theoretically, yeah, it's kind of a rhythm game because you just have to hit in that same time frame after the exact same amount of time 100 times.
Well, I think your distinction is important though with the
music.
Yes, because I think there's a difference of it being a rhythm game and then getting a rhythm like in the game. You know what I mean? Like the addition moves in Legend of Dragoon, which I know you're a big fan of. Those are not synced with the music, but there is like a rhythm to it that you basically just have to memorize because it sometimes some of them come at you really fast. Some of like the really late editions, especially, you just sort of have to remember like, huh. You know what I mean?
Even when you're good at those type of things, you don't feel necessarily like you're in the rhythm if it's not with the music, right? That's the thing that the music adds, is it helps you to feel like you're in the rhythm. Like Necrodancer has like, what would you call that style of music? Like it's not really house.
No, I mean like because it has the chiptune sort of thing to it.
Yeah, but it's kind of techno-y.
Yeah,
kind of dancey.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with those styles of music, so I don't know what the appropriate term is.
But yeah, it's supposed to make you like really feel the beat and just like. I mean, that's basically the sound underneath all of them, right? Because it's supposed to sound like a heart. Yeah. Why are you laughing at me?
I want somebody just to turn on this podcast to that and just, is somebody choking? Are they okay?
Oh boy.
Anyways.
But yeah, I mean, the music just makes such a big difference, and obviously we're music people, so we believe that. But Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, you're right though, because anything that we know is like definitively a rhythm game, Guitar Hero, DDR, yada yada, those are in time with the music. Like that is, these games will have like calibrators for your audio and your visual, so that just in case there's something off with your TV or something, that's how important having the visual line up with the audio is so important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Necrodancer did also. Like when I first booted it up, it had me do that. Just like Guitar Hero does.
Yeah.
That's how important this is. And that's you wouldn't have that for Legend of Dragoon or Mario and Luigi.
Yeah.
You don't have that for Mother, do you?
No.
Yeah. So it's not a rhythm game. There's just like a rhythm to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mother comes closest
because there is music behind it.
It's with the music.
Yeah.
And you have to know. Sometimes the game will try to trick you too. Like it'll put the beat just to hit it on like the off beats or stuff like that. So, but yeah.
So there you go. Rhythm games.
Do you have? Would you like to see more rhythm games? They're so niche now. It feels like they're really disappearing. I mean, are you kind of okay with that, or do you?
I mean, with games like Necrodancer out, like I think it shows that rhythm games are still
viable.
Yeah. But
have an audience.
But they also do have to be super creative with them nowadays. Because I think the days of just having a simple Guitar Hero or like a Just Dance are over.
Yeah, I mean, there's not that many soundtracks. I mean, if they came out with another Theatrythm, like I'd probably buy it, right?
Yeah.
What about like a Legend of Zelda rhythm game?
How would that work?
I don't know. It'd just be a rhythm game with like the soundtrack of Legend of Zelda games.
I mean, maybe.
I mean, look, if they released Harmonite, if they're like Harmonite 2, this time it's Pokemon music, I would buy that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But if it was Harmonite 2, more of the blah.
Yeah, maybe not. It's interesting. Like, I wonder what they would have to do.
Like, does that mean that all rhythm games, for it to be viable now, have to be based off of other source material from now on out?
I think either that or they have to have something else to them. I think games like Harmonite and Parappa the Rappa are never going to bring enough on their own to bring popularity. And if you want something that's mainstream popular, I don't even know what that would look like. Some kind of weird rhythm game with like music from the Avengers or Disney music. There could be something there.
Could there? Like, what would you do?
I don't know.
Isn't there already like a Disney Just Dance?
Yeah, probably.
Isn't there, or am I mistaken?
That sounds familiar.
There's the Star Wars one.
Yeah, don't do that.
Oh, Jantran.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. I mean, like I'm 100% confident that Necrodancer is not going to be the last rhythm game I ever play.
No, sure.
There's going to be another one that comes out, and it might be from a small indie company, and it might be a smallish game too.
Almost certainly.
I mean, I think it wouldn't be the worst assumption in the world that, if you considered Guitar Hero AAA releases, I mean, they were Activision, then I don't think we'll have another one of those again.
I mean, Nintendo did do a release of Rhythm Heaven, not a re-release, but a sequel to Rhythm Heaven on the 3DS, but I don't think it did very well. I mean, that's a AAA developer, but not necessarily AAA production value. It didn't have the production value that you would see in like a Mario or Zelda game, right? It was like, this is obviously a spin-off game of a generation of games that were specifically aimed at the casuals, right? So, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough market for rhythm games, but I'm glad that they had their time in the sun because I had a lot of fun. Even with Guitar Hero, it was never really my thing. I had a lot of fun playing with people, and I still have fond memories. If you gave it to me now, I would be like, yeah, I'll play the bass part. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd have the means to play Guitar Hero 2 ever again because I have no idea where that peripheral is. But if I ever did, I think it would be... it'd
be a good time.
It'd be a blast from the past,
Yeah.
I played Guitar Hero 2 for the first time over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Ouch. Ouch. So it would be a nice blast from the past,
Yeah. But, that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. Well, we managed to hold out for a full hour.
It was a better episode than I thought it'd be. I mean, I always knew this would be a great episode because it was my idea.
Well,
what a great episode. That was my idea.
Let's wait for the fan to decide that.
Yeah, okay. Get us out of here.
Alrighty. Well, try not to make this our final episode.
Yeah, that's basically
we
all
do
we're
have
gonna do.
Incredibles 2 coming out soon, so we do have to do a cast on
Yeah,
that
we
very
want to
soon.
do that for sure.
Dave still has a massive backlog of like really important games he'd like to talk about that he's just too afraid to talk about for
Yeah,
some reason.
basically.
For whatever reason, even though he kind of got started in this cast.
Yeah.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Oh well.
But, as they say in Infinity Wars, the Avengers
I don't feel so
will
good.
return.
Oh, that one.
Anyways, special thanks always to Danny Barrett-Hubert for the wonderful artwork, and to the combined efforts of Rob KTA, Expert Novice, OC Remix for the intro and outro music. And we'll see you on the next one.
Take care.